Hey, what's up everybody? Coming in today with a piece that goes way outside of just the weight room and using it for fitness or strength and conditioning, getting stronger. Today I want to talk to you about the ability to hinge at the waist. More importantly, what I mean by hinging at the waist, this goes back to picking things up off the floor in my day-to-day. And then in the weight room, this looks like a deadlift or anything that I hinge at the waist with. And now, I've run into clients in my past, and I still do nowadays, where I don't know who they've run into, but they tell them that, hey, deadlifting is off limits. Like, you can't pick anything off the floor. And my question to them is, how do you get things up off the floor then throughout your day? I guarantee 9 times out of 10, you're bending over, you're picking something up. That's a deadlift. So whoever's telling you not to deadlift, we want to tell them to be quiet. There is a proper way. Now, the other thing to think about them is, okay, if I do deadlift then, but every time I do, or I bend over quite a bit, or maybe I'm doing some manual labor around the house or I'm picking things up, I experience discomfort, pain, any of those things, and then the next day I'm still feeling it, okay? Now that is a bigger issue, and those are the things that we want to tackle. And so what I want to give you today is a simple check, all right? This is a pre and post check to understand, do I have the ability to hinge properly with proper tension and bracing of my spine? And that's is gonna allow me to prevent any pain or discomfort as I move in the future, right? And so all we're doing is putting conscious thought to my ability to bend over, okay? So the test here today is called the 90-degree hinge test, okay? And what we do here for this is we put our feet underneath our hips, our legs stay straight, and I may put a little bit of squeeze in my legs just to keep them nice and straight. And then the other key piece here though is because we want to be able to bend over and pick things up properly while creating tension and stiffness around my spine to protect it, I pull my belly button in to my spine. So I'm going to suck that in. And then from there, I can use my hands as a cue. I'm literally just going to try and fold over at my waist while carrying that tension through my belly the entire way, okay? And you can tell my voice is getting constrained a little bit because I'm focusing on squeezing in that position. And I should be able to take myself to 90 degrees while maintaining that squeeze and getting into that position, okay? The next check is, can I breathe in this shape while still squeezing? Right? And that's the biggest check of all, right? Some of you guys may experience like, hey, I'm able to get over while maintaining squeezing. The ultimate piece though is, do I have functionality? Can I breathe in that position while I'm down there, while I'm hinged? And if I can't breathe, I know there's muscle restriction around the spine. Things are very tense and stiff, and they're not allowing me to expand and breathe into those shapes down there, okay? And so also to think about, for those of you that maybe you do this test and then you realize, oh shit, while squeezing, I can only get to here. If I go any further, I'm gonna lose my squeeze, and then I'm gonna round in my spine to make up more room, okay? And this is where people get injured, right? When I go to pick something up off the floor, and then my spine is bending and arching in order to make those things happen, there's slack in the system, and when you have slack in the system, there's room for error, there's room for injury, and then those are the things that make us fearful down the road to say, I don't know if I want to deadlift anymore. I don't know if I want to pick things up off the ground, okay? So now if you're someone who, as you hinge and you realize like, oh man, I can only get to here, also take notice of then how do you pick things up off the floor. I'm sure you hinge, you get to a certain point, and then you squat down into that position in order to make up for that excess room that you don't have, okay? Now, just body weight, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You can squat down to pick things up off the floor, it's proper. But if I want to get stronger and get myself the ability to hinge and have a robust shape, well, if I go to deadlift, and actually I'm doing this, I'm just squatting the bar up, right? And this puts a lot of trauma in the low back, and there's a lot of movement and sliding along the spine in that position. I'd rather be someone who can hinge over to the floor properly and back up into that shape, and using the musculature of my abdominals, my glutes, and my hamstrings in order to pick those up, and then stop relying on my quads to do that. So the next time, maybe if you know someone who has back pain, maybe it's you, or for my coaches out there, if you're coaching someone on a deadlift, the first thing you should do prior to deadlifting and hinging is check that day. What is my client's, or what is my ability to hinge over from the waist only while being able to keep tension through my abdominals and also being able to breathe? It's a super simple check. And if you're bypassing that, well, then you're putting yourself at risk for possible injury. Remember, the most important thing about your own personal movement is awareness. Give yourself the ability to see and feel what you are doing, and then that will allow you to improve as you go forward every day. So try this out next time, and don't be afraid to deadlift or hinge. See you guys tomorrow.